The Oasis project bid has the ability to really streamline the pricing and identification of the true or net earnings on a particular job for commissions and overage. But you have to consider a few things before that pulls together properly. First thing to note is, unless you like typing, notice everything is coming in at 0% right now for this particular factory. To save yourself some time, what you might consider is go to the main Oasis screen, manufacturers. I'll identify that fundamental lighting right there. And under terms, I'm going to set them up as being 10% and 80%. I just did this a few seconds ago. And now when I key in a new item, instead of it being 0, it'll actually identify it as a 10% item by default and with an 80% take of the overage for the rep. Okay, so for me to for the existing lines, obviously it doesn't change the existing quotes. That would be bad because it would affect existing projects, especially if there's been a change in terms with that particular factory. But what I'll do on my existing quote here is I'll go ahead and correct it at 80% on that, and then through here I'll put in 10 and 10, 10 and 10. And now it's back to the way it would normally show if I'd had that all set up. By the way, if I have a price list, I could have taken the extra step on that price list to identify the commission rate for that particular item. So then it would come in at 5% if it's a 5% item, 10% if it's a 10% item, and so forth. But consider both those between the price list and the manufacturer setup. That can save a lot of time for a given company over the course of even just a few days. Looking up stuff, hand keying stuff, is just a lot of typing for nothing. The other thing to note here as we start going to this is I'm going to add in a little column here of 12. So let's assume for a second, and I could have set up my price list this as well, where we pull in the $12 item, which is 10%, and that's basically where that particular factory will start collecting overage. But for standard stuff, if it's $12 at 10%, I collect basically nothing but commission on this, or $120 because I have 10 of them, and $12 in commission, so 10% of that, and so forth. So if I have another price in the system, or I look up in my price sheet, if I do it manually, I could have basically something at $10, and notice it's low because it's actually telling me there's a problem in the system that the price the lowest price is on the price list right now is $10, but I'm actually putting in 10 because I know I can, or I've phoned the manufacturer, which by the way you have a manufacturer quote over here per Bob, to add that note in, and again it resets the color coding on there. But now it's 10% at $10 at 5%, or for 10 of them I have $100 and $5 in commission. That's great. Now what I like to do is also take any price that I have from the factory, and I'll go ahead and highlight it just for this and show you how to drag and drop a couple of columns there. And what I just told the system is my lowest authorized price, again per Bob, is $10 at 5%. Now I have all that information saved in the system, and I can adjust other items. Now later, if I come back in and I decide I want to add a little extra money to this, I could sell this for, just for argument's sake, $112, and again it's 10%. But if I notice something here, I no longer have the ability to key anything into that column. And the reason for that is simply because $112 is greater than my O base, basically the overage point for this particular item from this factory is it's greater than 12 bucks. So 112 bucks, I should get $80 of that because I get 80% of it. And if I go to the top here and take a look at my totals, my sale price is $1,120, so 10 at $112 each. That looks correct. My commission is $12. Well, let's take a look at that. $12 at 10. Sure enough, basically that is the commission that I get on there. But anything above that base commission or overageable column, I get 80% of. So sure enough, I have $100 added on there, or $80 an item, or $800 total. So that's basically how you commission or apply commission and overage to an item inside of Oasis. Now just to jump ahead a little bit here, if I type in 10 on this, that allows me to mark up my cell to my level 1 here. So it's a div 0.9, okay? And we also have the ability to do this here. If I type in like 10 right here, it's going to take my base price and mark it up div 0.9 to my sell price. And if I need to mark down, that by the way would be a 0.9 or a multiplier on that. So 0.9 would be multiplying that.